Hello everyone, welcome to the AWS ECS for Cloud Engineer series. My name is Dheeraj Chaudhary, and in this video we will explore Amazon Elastic Container Service, a fully managed solution for running containerized application on AWS Cloud. Whether you are new to containers or looking to simplify your container orchestration, this introduction will give you a very solid foundation. So let's get started. Amazon ECS stands for Elastic Container Service. Think of it as a service that takes care of the heavy lifting for running your containers. Instead of manually managing servers and figuring out where to run your containers, ECS handles that for you automatically. A container is like a lightweight package that contains your application and everything it needs to run, as we have already seen in our Docker series. ECS is AWS answer to container orchestration. It decides which server in your cluster should run which containers, and it keeps track of them. The fully managed part is important. AWS handles the complex backend services that keep ECS running, so you don't have to. You just tell ECS what containers you want to run, and it takes care of deploying and managing them. It works great with Docker, the most popular containerization tool that we have already learned in our last series, and AWS ECR, that is Elastic Container Registry, where you store your container images. This is the same like Docker Hub, where we were saving our images. Here's the key difference. If you use EC2 instances, you have to manually decide which instance runs which containers, manually restart containers if they fail, and manually scale up or down. It's like being a traffic controller, which is very exhausting. With ECS, you define what you want. For example, I want 3 copies of my web application running, and ECS automatically handles everything from deployment, monitoring, restarts, and scaling. Think of this in a way where EC2 gives you raw compute power, but you are responsible for managing everything on top of it. So ECS is a layer on top of EC2 or Fargate that does the container management for you. ECS also integrates beautifully with other AWS services. For example, it can automatically connect your containers to load balancers for traffic distribution, use IAM roles for security, and send logs to CloudWatch for monitoring. All of this is built in and easy to set up. So ECS is organized into 3 layers. And understanding this will help you see how everything is going to fit together. The capacity layer is the bottom. It's the actual compute resources. You choose EC2 instances, the servers that you have to manage, or Fargate, serverless container AWS manages. Don't worry if Fargate sounds confusing now, we will cover it later. The controller layer is the brain of ECS. This is where ECS makes decisions for you. Where should you run this task? Should I start another copy of this task? Is this task healthy or not? It continuously monitors and manages your applications. The provisioning layer is how you talk to ECS. You use the AWS console, web interface, or AWS CLI or SDK to tell ECS what containers you want to run. You define your application in a task definition file, which is also known as the blueprint. The way we create the Docker file, which is a blueprint for creating a container, or images, the same way. And then you create a service that run those tasks. The provisioning layer is your interface for doing this. Let me break down 3 core concepts in ECS because these are very foundational concepts that you should know. A cluster is a logical container for your infrastructure. It's not a physical thing, it's just a way to organize things. A cluster can contain EC2 instances, Fargate capacity, or both of them. You might have separate clusters for development and production, or a single shared cluster for multiple applications together. A task is the smallest unit of work in ECS. A task is a running instance of a task definition. Let's take for an example when you create an image. Okay, so image gets created from a Docker file, and the running instance for them is the Docker container. The same way, you create task definition, and based on that task definition, the container which it runs under the task. A task definition is a blueprint, as I said. So consider it like a recipe that specifies what Docker image to use, how much CPU and memory the task is going to need, what environment variables to set, what ports to export, and so on. When you run a task definition, you get a task, an actual running container, or multiple containers working together. A service is where the magic of orchestration happens. And a service ensures that specified number of tasks are always running for you. For example, if you create a service with the desired count is equal to 3, ECS will launch 3 tasks and keep them running. If one crashes, the service will automatically restart it. If the traffic increases, you need more capacity. You can scale the service and it will launch more tasks automatically. So the only difference that you will do is you will change the capacity of the service. Services are perfect for long running applications like web servers, while tasks are good for batch jobs that run once and finish. Think of task definition as a detailed recipe of how to run your container. It includes all information ECS needs to launch and run your task successfully. First, you specify the Docker image. This is the containerized version of your application. This image comes from somewhere, usually AWS ECR or Docker Hub. Second, you specify the resource requirement. How much CPU, memory does the task need? This helps ECS decide whether it can fit on an instance and helps with cost. Suppose if you have a instance with memory, that is the RAM, as 6 GB, and you want to run a task which is going to consume 4 GB. So in that case, it is not going to spin up two tasks onto that EC2 instance because each task is going to require 4 GB, right? But the total is 6 GB, so it can only run one container. So that is how it helps. Third, you set environment variables. These are configuration values your application might need at runtime. For example, the database endpoint or API keys that you should use with secrets manager for sensitive data, not with environment variables. You also define port mappings, which port inside the container maps to which port on the host, the same way we did that in our Docker file. And logging configuration, where should the container logs go? So CloudWatch is common for sending the container logs. Finally, you specify the IAM roles. What AWS service should this container be allowed to access? And this is crucial for security. Task definition are versioned so you can create a new version when you want to update your application without affecting a running task. This is powerful because you can gradually roll out updates, stop the old version, and start the new version with different deployment strategies. So ECS supports two launch types and choosing between them is very important. So Fargate is the newer and the simpler option. With Fargate, you don't have to worry about EC2 instances at all. You just say, I want to run this task definition and AWS handles everything for you, like provisioning servers, patching the server and scaling the servers. It's serverless, meaning no servers to manage. You only pay for the CPU and memory your task is going to consume. It's great for beginners because there's less to learn and less to manage. EC2 is the traditional option. You launch EC2 instances, register them with your ECS cluster, and ECS schedules tasks on those instances. How you register them? So when you create an EC2 instance, you have to install an EC2 agent. When you install the EC2 agent on your EC2, then it would be able to talk with ECS. You are responsible for patching the instances, managing their capacity, and ensuring they stay healthy, or if you want to add any firewall onto your server. This gives you more control and can be more cost effective if you have large, predictable workloads, but it requires more operational knowledge. So once you want to get started and you don't have knowledge about the capacity that you're going to require, you can get started with Fargate. But once you know that this is the limited capacity and this is what my application requires, at that time you can go with EC2. And here's the practical advice for beginners. Start with Fargate. It's simpler, and you can always switch to EC2 later if you need more control or cost optimization. And here's something cool. You can use both in same cluster also. Some tasks run on Fargate, others on EC2. And this flexibility is powerful as you grow your application. Let me highlight why ECS is so popular choice amongst cloud engineers. First, simplification. ECS removes massive amount of complexity. You are not manually managing the container placement, health checks, or scaling. ECS is going to do it for you automatically. Second, AWS integration is seamless. You want to distribute traffic across your task, use application load balancers that is also built in. You need security. You have IAM roles integrated. So you need logs and monitoring. You have CloudWatch, which is going to work with it natively. You need to store your container images. You have ECR designed for ECS. Everything talks to each other smoothly and in a secured manner. Third, flexibility. You are not locked into one launch type. Start with Fargate for simplicity, switch to EC2 for control, or you can use both of them based on your requirement. Fourth, cost effectiveness, especially with Fargate. You pay only for what you use, no paying for idle EC2 instances. Fifth, high availability is built in. Services can span multiple availability zones, different data centers, that is. So if one goes down, your application stays up and running. Auto scaling and load balancing are native features, not add-ons. So for a cloud engineer, this means less operational burden and more time to focus on building great applications. And that's a wrap for the fundamentals of Amazon ECS. You know what it is, why it's powerful, and the core concepts that make it work. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep learning step by step, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the upcoming tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.